asked me which way I liked it. I told him I like my shit from the back. And it's Amber Duh.
This was the most difficult time of my life. Like, I could not understand why it was even happening. And looking back, I know it was beyond my own scope of understanding. Trigger warning for this video because this video does include very sensitive topics. How I recovered from disordered eating is a unique story within itself because I didn't even know I had an eating disorder. I was just so stressed at the time, I didn't stop to think, hey, you not eating is a problem. According to the dictionary definition of anorexia, anorexia is an eating disorder characterized by restriction of food intake, leading to low body weight, typically accompanied by intense fear of gaining weight and disturbed perception of body weight and image. Now, I would like to say that I did not care about my body weight and image. I was not anorexic because I wanted to be skinny. I stopped eating because I was stressed and sad, and I actually stopped getting any forms of being hungry. I did more research on this and I found out this is psychological. My brain was not sending receptors to my stomach to be like, hey, we're hungry, eat something. I was that stressed, I was that sad, I was that depressed, I was really that alone. A little brief background on why that was. This was actually around 2018, 2019. I was feeling a little sick about living in New York City. It was getting harder. I was losing my passion. I was not really living up to the dream that everyone tells you to live in New York City, you know? And despite being from there, I just felt like I wanted to change. The person that I was dating at the time, my partner, they moved to Atlanta 8 months prior to me moving there. And I'm like, well, I mean, I already know somebody there. I already have a vibe there. I've already visited, I think, that January of 2019, and then within 3 months I moved. So from January to April, I just started to save money and moved to Atlanta. It was a very interesting transition, to say the least. I thought that I would be able to get a job automatically. I thought I would be able to get a car automatically. That was not necessarily the case. I actually ended up not taking the job that I went down there for because it was so far away from my apartment, and I didn't realize how far away everything is in Atlanta. In New York, even if it's far away, you can get on public transportation and be there within a decent amount of time. You just got to pay that $275. I heard it's $290 now. And you're there, but that's not necessarily the case in Atlanta. So there were a lot of job offers that I couldn't take because they were too far. I didn't have a car, and I didn't want to put it all on my partner to drive me everywhere, even though that did end up happening. Long story short, the relationship did not work out. We were not a match. I was broken up with in the most devastating way, in my opinion. I knew that we were arguing. I knew that we were having a really rough time, but I was pretty blindsided by certain specific details of the breakup that really upset me in ways that kind of spiraled me. And not only was I newly heartbroken, I am out of home, I'm out friends. I lost my best friend over this whole breakup. It was wild. It was like probably the most traumatic breakup that I've ever experienced at the time. Thankfully, though, before we broke up, I bought a car a week before we broke up. That was God's grace. I just remember in the midst of us breaking up, my former partner told me, okay, I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know if you're going to move back to New York or whatever, but you can't stay here. And within 3 days, I moved out because you don't have to tell me twice that you don't want me to be over here. So I ended up renting a townhouse from this guy. I could barely afford it. I was working at a fast casual dining restaurant. I wasn't making that much at that restaurant. And then I had another side job where I was a professional princess. But basically, I was, playing Tiana. And so that's how I was making money at the time. I was working for $2 an hour plus tips and working as a professional princess. I had a car that I absolutely love and adored, and I wish I could have it today, but I think I would only buy that car if I was rich, because the way that car had so many problems and it's very expensive is a foreign car. It's a German car. It had BMW parts or whatever it was. And so every other year, that car has had problems, but I didn't know. Within a year, I've already had it serviced like 3 times. And that was like really draining me. I just remember just feeling so alone and everything feeling so like hectic, but I'm just like, I have to keep going. I have to keep striving for my dreams. So even though I was like confused and felt alone and sad, I would just still apply for auditions because I'm in film, as some of you already know. I would go to workshops. I would just keep showing up for myself. I'm pushing for my inner child. My inner child still wants to be this performer. They still want to show all their talents to the world. I'll do it. I'll do it, okay? Through all of the glitz and the glamour and the sadness and going here and going there, I just did not feel hungry. I genuinely did not feel hungry. I would go hours and hours and hours without eating. I was still drinking water, but it was like I wasn't paying attention to my nutrition at all. I didn't notice how much weight I was losing until I started making TikTok videos. I started TikTok in September 2019, like a month before my breakup. I didn't really start getting on there until around November because I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sad. I need something to make me laugh. So TikTok was the thing at the time that was really making people laugh. This is before TikTok Shop and everything else that it is today. Honestly, I'm not a fan. So I'm not on there as much anymore. But at the time, it was everything. And so I told myself, okay, I'm going to do a video a day, no matter what. I'm just going to keep doing that. And for 6 months, I was doing that. It was building my momentum and drive. But looking back, some of those videos, I was so gauntly and I was so skinny. And I didn't realize it until one day I was laying down and I put my hand on my stomach and I felt my rib cage. And I'm like, wait, is that me? And then it gave me flashbacks to when I was a kid, when I was called xylophone by some family member. I've always been the underweight child, the skinny child. It's just because my metabolism was fast. I was a fast metabolism type kid. I wasn't a no eating kid, picky eater kid. I'd eat anything. I was not a picky eater. That was just me and the way my body works. So I think because I was so stressed and it was like a stress-induced anorexia, I lost like 20 pounds in like a week. I went from like 110 pounds to 85 pounds. Like that. And the only reason why I know I was 85 pounds is because I went on a scale. And I was actually terrified to go on that scale because I was just like, I know I'm underweight. I can see my ribs. I look skinny. And my clothes are baggy on me. Like, I also felt kind of embarrassed. I stepped on that scale and it said 85.6. And I'm like, I can't live like this. I cannot live like this. I was devastated. I had a stress-induced eating disorder where I just psychologically stopped gaining the need for hunger, which was so dangerous. I think that it was more obvious than I thought because my mother decided to come down that January, like January 2020, to check on me. And I remember her saying something about, yeah, we should go get something to eat. I think you should really eat. I think it was obvious that I was either not eating or not eating enough. And my mom was trying to say it in a nice way. And maybe she wanted me to kind of open up to her about what I was thinking or what I was going through. But I honestly didn't think I was going through anything. It didn't register to me that I had a problem. And I didn't have a therapist. I didn't have anyone that I could really talk to. At least that felt comfortable to me because when I moved down here, I moved down for my partner and then my partner's friends became my friends and they actually really liked me to the point where when we did break up, some of those people still checked on me and they were like, hey, you can come to my family Thanksgiving. I know like you don't know that many people down here and stuff like that. And that like, ooh, not tearing up. I was really grateful for them to still embrace me in that way because they don't have to even care about me like that, you know? To this day, I am really cool with all those people. I did find a solution to this eating disorder and I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just telling you what I did. So I work in the restaurant industry, right? And everyone knows the restaurant industry is notorious for people that involve themselves in some recreational activities, if you know what I'm saying. I don't even remember how I got it. I don't remember who gave it to me, but I remember acquiring some leafy greens. I just remember not even really knowing how to use it, how to work it, how to do anything, because the only thing I've done at this point was an edible. I am not like a smoker or roll up, none of that. But I ended up using that, and that's how my appetite came back. I was like, oh, I'm hungry now. I'm hungry again. So I started bringing home food from work. I started to bring home salads, salmon, sweet potatoes, Brussels sprouts, like healthy food. I thankfully worked in a healthy eating place. Like it was a health style type of restaurant. And so I was gaining healthy weight and I was continuing doing my TikTok videos and I could see the difference between January of 2020 to like June of 2020. I was still fairly skinny, but I look happier and I was gaining more weight thanks to this recreational leafy green. And that kind of catapulted and spiraled into like 4 years of use. I personally don't find anything wrong with it, but I don't think it's for me. I think that this recreational activity has played its course in my life. I'm not saying that I would never do it ever again, but as far as a recreational user every day, every other day, No, not for me. When people start talking about legalizing and not legalizing, I understand this was a medical problem. When you look at the medical definition of anorexia, it says lack or loss of appetite for food. So I had a medical problem, and that leafy green kind of cured it. My relationship with food has never been bad. I've never been the type to calorie count or think that I'm fat or anything like that. I was literally stressed, and it kind of spiraled me into an eating disorder. What I've learned is that I have to keep my mental health at check, because it could really affect everything else in your life, psychologically, mentally, and physically. Anyone out there going through this same thing that I'm going through, you can make it through. You don't have to do what I did, but there is a solution. And just know it's not just you not wanting to eat food. It could be a medical real problem. Please get a therapist. I wish I got a therapist. I probably would have gotten out of that rut a lot faster, because it took me almost a year to gain the weight back, and more than a year to gain my mentality back. Currently, my relationship with food is I still enjoy more healthy type of food, plant-based eating, vegan eating, clean eating, mostly protein type of dishes. But that's who I was before, and that's who I am now, and that's who I will continue to be. But just know you can get healthy. It's so difficult to try to act like everything's normal afterwards when it's not, when you've been that unhealthy for such a long time. For me, it was only a couple of months, 6 months, I would say at the most, 2 months at the least, and it has completely changed my life. I honestly do not recommend people to brush this off as something that's just, oh, whatever, like I can fix this later, or I can survive curing this on my own. And I mean, just because I cured this on my own doesn't mean that you can, or does it mean that this was the best option. Maybe if I went to therapy, I wouldn't even had to have had leafy greens at all. Don't feel any less than just because you go through something like this. This was the most difficult time of my life. Like, I could not understand why it was even happening. And looking back, I know it was beyond my own scope of understanding. Stress could really do a number on people. If you or anyone you know is suffering from an eating disorder, please proceed with caution and definitely seek professional help. I will link some links down below so everyone can feel more supported and seek the help that they deserve. I've never told anyone this, not even my mom, anyone in my family. The only person I've ever talked about this with is my former partner. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you like this video, want to see more videos, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.